Thank you, Brandon, for that very informative presentation. Good morning, all. I'm MC Townsend. I am BizFed incoming chair for 2015 and president and CEO of the Regional Black Chamber of Commerce in San Fernando Valley. I truly want to express our appreciation this morning, excuse me, for everyone who is engaged in this incredible conversation on housing and economic development. Thus far, based on the conversation, I would venture to say and suspect that we're going to come away today with a lot of meat and potatoes, perhaps, in order to move forward and have more for a great path for BizFed and our community leaders. So, again, thank you, Brandon, for those warm remarks. Let's continue on the discussion this morning with perspective from my LA County. Our next speaker is a powerhouse when it truly comes to economic development, affordable housing, and redevelopment. Since 2009, Sean Rogan has been the executive director of the LA County Community Development Commission and Housing Authority. And prior to that, he was the deputy director for the housing development for the city of Oakland. In those roles, Sean has managed the implementation and monitoring of various affordable housing, redevelopment, and community development programs. While administering those programs, he's utilized a variety of resources in doing so, including and not limited to redevelopment funds, tax credits, and tax-exempt bonds. His projects and programs include a Department of Housing and Urban Development Best Practices winner and the recipient of the Community Redevelopment Association Award of Excellence. He is here today to give us the county's perspective on both challenges and solutions to the affordable housing and economic development. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Sean Rogan.
Good morning. So I've prepared a PowerPoint, and in putting together some of the statistical data that will be included here, there's obviously a wide range of opportunities and choices in which to pull data statistics from. So I try to pull those that I found to be interesting to me and hopefully interesting to you as well. If we can go to the next slide. So, as mentioned, Los Angeles County has been considered one of the least affordable counties in the country. 1 in 4 households pay more than half of their income on housing. 30% is to be considered the appropriate dollar amount. Los Angeles Times has called Los Angeles the overcrowding epicenter. So not only do we not have affordable housing, but we also have an incredible amount of overcrowding within studios, 1-bedroom, 2-bedroom units. We have multiple families living in these units. In addition, we have up here, you'll see that 1% of the census tracts across the county. So if you want to narrow it down to small communities, the most crowded are going to be located in Los Angeles and Orange County. These are probably statistics that inertly as you drive through the county and you drive through parts of Los Angeles City. You can see the density, you can see the overcrowding, and you can also, I'm sure you're aware of the affordability issues. Some other statistics that stood out to me. Children in overcrowded housing have far more behavioral and learning difficulties in school, and they also have additional emotional and health issues than other children. So the housing that we have in the county does have long-term impacts, especially on our youth and our children. And then this number here on the bottom, LA County has been estimated to be short almost 500,000 homes. So when you look at the reports, from SCAG and the state in terms of the fair share need of building just housing in general, we're about 500,000 units short. Next slide. Affordable rent. So, over the last 12 years, as the rents in the county, and this is through 2012, and obviously this statistic would be even higher if we had data today, but over that 12-year time period, rents have increased 25%, while incomes have declined almost 10%. In Los Angeles County, just to put things in perspective, in order to afford a two-bedroom fair market rent apartment unit, you need to make about $27 an hour. If you look at it from a minimum wage perspective, you would need to have 3+ minimum wage jobs to afford a two-bedroom apartment within the county. And then if you want to look at it from a annual salaries perspective, right now you're looking at about $56,000 in order to afford that two-bedroom unit, which then goes to show you, some of the difficulties that a lot of our support staff, such as EMTs and paramedics and teachers, have a difficult time achieving. So not only is LA County incredibly expensive to live, we also have a homeless problem. At any given point in time, you've got about 57,000 homeless on the streets. Out of this homeless, less than 1 in 4 are able to find some type of temporary shelter. Out of this number, about 49,000 are going to be single adults, but probably more surprising is you have over 7,500 homeless families on the streets. This is typically single mom with young children under the age of 5. You also have a substantial number of teenagers, 18 and under, on the street. 1 in 4 homeless are chronically homeless. 1 in 3 homeless adults have mental or physical disabilities. So when you think of the homeless population, to put things in perspective, it includes women. A lot of people don't necessarily associate women with homeless, but it includes women. Out of that population, a substantial portion are elderly, mentally ill, person with AIDS, disabled, foster youth that have emancipated from the foster care. When they turn 18 years of age, if that foster care family decides to discontinue that relationship, approximately 40% of those kids end up homeless for some point of time. And then you also have our frequent users of emergency rooms. So with that sort of framed as both the affordable and homeless issues facing the county, I'm going to talk a little bit about what the County Board of Supervisors have done, especially in light of the dissolution of redevelopment. So over a 5-year period, really at the leadership of our County Board of Supervisor, Mark Ridley-Thomas, in support by also our other Board of Supervisors in terms of Molina and Antonovich and Kanabi and Yaroslawski. $80 million was put forth to help provide that gap funding, which is so necessary and so needed to fund these affordable housing communities. And so what I have up here is we recently closed a notice of funding availability where we made almost $23 million available to help fund affordable and other special needs housing. So as I mentioned in terms of the affordability index and the homeless and special needs population, what we have done with this NOFA and what we continue to do with these notices going forward is we look to try to create not only potentially mixed income development, but also mixed use developments. And these are priorities of our County Board of Supervisors, looking to have some portion of units made available to these various categories up here. Because what we know is that the market will absolutely not address, this substantial societal need. So here are some additional criteria that we contain within our funding, where we're looking to, provide dollars to affordable housing developments. And in just about 100% of these developments, they will access the state low-income housing tax credit funding as well. Our proposals that we review and award are based on that same criteria that the state requires in terms of looking at readiness to proceed and site control and having financing in place. And as a result of that, we typically on average over the last several years have funded anywhere between 8 and 10 different developments, creating on average, 400 to 500 new units of affordable and special needs housing. Eligible projects, as I mentioned, special needs projects, homeless projects, and mixed population projects. What we've found to be very successful is that with the exception of maybe 1 or 2 special needs populations, having a mixed population of low and moderate income affordable housing, along with, say, some transitional age youth, or maybe some homeless population or some other special needs population, works from a financial standpoint, but also works from a community standpoint. So we continue to encourage those types of developments. We work with nonprofit and for-profit affordable housing organizations. A lot of these will develop into limited liability companies or limited partnerships. We also work with other public agencies. We work throughout LA County with a number of local jurisdictions, and we certainly look to leverage our dollars as best we can, and we've also have participated with joint ventures. Typical loan terms of the assistance we provide include loans that are typically for 55 to 57 years at 3% simple interest in their residual receipt notes. So what that basically means is if there's cash flow available in an affordable housing development, we will then be paid on our loan. It's crafted this way so that we can maximize tax credits. I'm sure it would be better in some instances to provide a grant, but as a grant, you don't get the basis points for the tax credits, and we're trying to maximize the amount of equity you bring into a project. So that's sort of an overview of what the county is doing in response to this substantial need to try to increase and develop new affordable housing, and I'm available for any questions.